What's going on, everyone? Rio from Des and Rio here. Today's video, I want to talk to you about using samples. I said this before in a different video. When you're going to be using samples as a producer, you're going to get a lot of mixed reactions. People are going to tell you you're not original or you're not really putting in any work. I want to explain to you my logic as to why I think that's false. I honestly, when I first started making music, I didn't want to use any samples because my whole mindset was someone's going to recognize this sample, they're going to be able to tell I wasn't doing it, I'm not original, stuff like that. So I'm going to show you my Chicken Soup remix. This isn't out yet, it's still in the works, but I want to show you how I use the combination of samples and synthesizers, but mainly samples for the drop. I hear it and I can still say I made this my own. So here's how it sounds. That was basically the drop of the song. I'm not going to show the whole thing right now, but you'll hear it when it comes out. Anyway, so as you can see here, the stab in the beginning, that's synthesizers. That's me making that. That's literally these 3 synths right here. So there's all of that, but everything else in the drop is they're all samples. And this is my logic behind samples. I would recommend mixing samples up. Let's look at this sample right here. So I found it from here in this one sample pack that I have. I like the little wobble sound effect thing, but I wasn't going to use the whole thing. It's too easy. I would feel like that's not putting in work just to throw the whole sample in there. So I take parts of different samples and I mix them up. So that's why I have just that out of this. So here, that's one sample. Here's another one. If I do use a lot of a sample, you're always going to see me move samples around. If there's a growl in the beginning and the wubs in the end, I'm going to swap it. The growl will be at the end and the wubs in the beginning. Stuff like that. There's this one. Let's look at this sample. Okay. Holy shit. I made this out of that? See, there you go. Who would know that that's a sample? I mean, like, come on. There is musical talent right there. I took that and turned it into this. There you go. That is proof right there. If you use samples, be creative with it. You did something no one else did. Alright, so let's look more into the drop. So clearly it repeated right there, and then we have this other break. I remember finding this sample. So I like that dun 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 dun. As soon as I heard that sample, I just heard it in my mind what I wanted it to do. So instead of, I like that bump bump bump, but it just does that. So I took it a step further. I went bump 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 bump. So the way I did that too, in case you're wondering, is here's the original sample. I didn't change the key. It's in the key of E. That's what I know this track is in. And then those notes keep playing. But then I went up one, I transposed up one semitone here, so these are higher, and then they go downward. Dun, 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 right there, down 2. At that point, you mess with it and see what sounds best, Okay, and then second half, I think, right here. See, and this is where I start layering other samples. This is already making it more complex. That doesn't sound like a sample out of a sample pack now. It's already something different. So we got these two. So we'll solo them out. So this one is from the Vengeance VEDM. Vengeance EDM Essentials. Vengeance, I'm shouting you out. Give us free shit. So I heard that sound and I liked it, but I made my own melody out of it. And then I took that at the end and put that at the end of the drop. You'll hear it. Then this one, I felt like this by itself, that was too empty. It needed a lower. end to that, so I grabbed this. But yeah, this is Vengeance Dubstep, Vengeance EDM Essentials. There's a Cashmere sample. That's another thing about myself. No, I just don't feel comfortable sticking all in one brand. Like, I won't stick to just one Somatics pack and just grab everything from there. For me, it's me personally. There's nothing wrong if you do it. Just I myself, I need to just have variety and go all over the place, because I don't know, it's just my own thing. If someone were to go track me down, I want them to have no trail. I want them to just say, this guy's all over the place. I can't possibly recreate this. And that's my own personal thing. You don't have to do that. This bass is fat as like, and then let me show you what it originally sounded like. So you see, who would know that this came from this? I used like less than a second of this whole sample. Right there, that is it. And then I made, this out of it. Like, no one would know, and that is the point that I'm trying to make. Using samples is not a bad thing. I would just say get creative with it, move things around. Sometimes I'll double it to where you see right here. If I wanted to make that note hold a little bit longer, I double it. If I want it shorter, I'll to have a more repeating effect, I'll shorten it so it sounds like this. Now it has like that triplet effect or whatever. So I just wanted to make this video really quick to kind of show you all like little tips and tricks that you can do when using samples. Using samples doesn't make you unoriginal, doesn't make you less talented. If you can use it in a creative way, that's what matters. That's what people want to hear, right? It's one thing to just grab the whole sample, slap it in, and just with some drums over it, then yeah, that's kind of lame. You didn't really put much thought into it. But going in, taking a bunch of different samples all over the place, stretching them, shrinking them, changing the pitch. Just by changing the pitch already, the sample sounds different. You could see that with, I don't even know how to describe that sound. This one. Like, that sounded completely different just because I changed the key. I transposed it down 6 semitones, which, made a huge effect for it. Anyway, those are some tips that I have. When it comes down to using samples, if something has a pattern in the beginning, growl at the end, whatever, swap it up. Put samples on top of each other. Use half a second of this one, half a second of another one. Those are my tips and thoughts on samples. Anyone who says that you don't have any talent using samples is full of shit. It's beyond me. I originally used to feel like that, in the sense where I just felt self-conscious about using samples. I remember I would tell Des, oh, is someone gonna know where I use this from? And he's like, no one is gonna know where that came from. If you're not copying and pasting the whole sample, you are good. Just be creative with it, change semitones, double the length of it, shrink it, reverse it. I do that too. There's so many things you can do. And speaking of samples, I'm actually thinking of releasing a Desert Rio sample pack. It's right here. Some of the stuff is in the works, but it's not complete yet. But if you're interested in something like that, please let us know, and I'll actually get serious about making one. Anyway, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you had any hesitations about using samples before, I hope I really clarified it for you. Go nuts. Just don't give a f about what people say. If your track sounds dope, that is all that matters. Anyway, I will catch you all later.